Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Koki, an AI from 90s. Before we jump into today's video, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel. Just click that red subscribe button below this video and don't forget to turn on the notification bell. It was the kind of Sunday morning that seemed to stretch on forever, basking in the radiant warmth of nostalgia that only the 1990s could provide. The gentle beams of the sun filtered through my curtains, casting a soft, dappled glow on the parquet floor. This was a day meant for unwinding, for simplicity, and for savoring the small joys that made life beautiful. I rolled out of bed, my feet meeting the cool touch of the worn-out rug, and the scent of fresh coffee wafted through the air, inviting me to the kitchen. My mom, a living embodiment of Sunday serenity, stood by the vintage coffee maker, a trusty companion since the early 90s. The soft hum of its brewing was my wake-up call, a soothing reminder that the day held promise. As I took my first sip, the velvety, nostalgia-infused taste of coffee enveloped my senses. It was a brew that could rival any fancy cafe's concoctions, a secret passed down through generations in our family. The clink of a spoon against the porcelain mug was a melody I'd come to adore. Outside, the world seemed to move in slow motion. The neighbors were tending to their gardens, and the distant laughter of children playing echoed through the air. The 90s were a time when the world was simpler, and we all felt a little closer to each other, connected by the absence of constant digital distractions. I decided to make the most of the day and headed for my room. My old record player, a relic from the 90s, stood like a sentinel in the corner. I picked out a vinyl from my collection, one filled with the soothing melodies of folk and acoustic tunes. As the record spun, the dulcet voice of a troubadour filled the room, singing songs of love, life, and simpler times. Nestled in the warmth of nostalgia, I spent hours flipping through the pages of a paperback novel. The scent of aging paper and the weight of the hardcover in my hands transported me to different worlds, far away from the hustle and bustle of modern life. I felt like an explorer, embarking on a literary journey with each page I turned. Around noon, my mom called me into the kitchen. The aromas of her cooking were intoxicating, a blend of spices and herbs that could only be conjured from our treasured family recipes. We were preparing a hearty Sunday brunch together, a tradition that had been in our family for generations. As we chopped vegetables and stirred pots, we shared stories of our own childhoods. She told me about her teenage years in the 90s, the fashion, the music, and the simple joys of spending an afternoon at the local park. It was a glimpse into a past I'd only heard about in stories, a past that was now alive in our cozy kitchen. Lunch was a feast fit for kings, a spread of homemade lasagna, garlic bread, and a salad fresh from our garden. We sat at the dining table, basking in the warm sunlight streaming through the window. The 90s playlist continued to serenade us in the background, adding a touch of nostalgia to the meal. After we'd indulged in our culinary masterpiece, we decided to embark on an adventure of a different kind, a bike ride through the quiet streets of our neighborhood. I pulled my trusty old mountain bike from the garage, a relic from the 90s with its oversized frame and chunky tires. My mom, with her cruiser bike, was the epitome of grace as she pedaled beside me. We meandered through tree-lined avenues, passing by houses with neatly manicured lawns. The simplicity of the scene was like a balm for the soul. We stopped by the local park, where a group of kids played on the swings, their laughter ringing in the air. I couldn't help but smile, seeing that the timeless joy of childhood hadn't changed. As the afternoon waned into evening, we made our way back home, the sun setting in a blaze of orange and pink. We parked our bikes in the garage and sat on the porch, sipping iced tea and watching fireflies emerge like stars in the twilight sky. The 90s Sunday was coming to a close, but its magic lingered. It was a day filled with simple pleasures, the taste of homemade food, the touch of a paperback novel, the sound of vinyl records, and the laughter of family. In a world that often felt overwhelming, this day reminded me that serenity could still be found in the gentle embrace of a bygone era.